Hello, YouTube. I am back. My name's Holly. If you haven't been here before, welcome. And if you have been here before, I am so glad you came back. Um, Quickly, I just want to say in my last video or two, I've been talking about all the plans I have for this channel and changing the name of this channel, and I'm going to be this and that. And that has been a very exhausting theme for me since I started this channel, probably almost a year ago now. So, you know what? I'm here to have fun. I'm here to just talk about whatever it is that I have to talk about. A little life update, a little reading update, probably more focused on books than anything else. I'm not going to put pressure on myself that I'm going to do a number of videos in a week or on days or themes. Ugh, like that is so like not how I'm not at all inspired by that. So I really get caught up in like how I'm supposed to do things, and instead I'm just going to enjoy being here and talking. And maybe someday my family will come across these collection of videos after I have departed this earth, and they'll get a kick out of seeing what it was I was talking about in 2025. So I'm going to focus on books today. Life updates. Everything's good. It's the end of the summer, which is my least favorite season. And I'm pretty excited to get to the end of it. Although I will say I really enjoyed the summer. I just dug in. I told myself, Holly, you don't like to go out. You know it's hot. You're just going to stay inside and you're going to recharge your batteries. I've had a really weird couple of years. And so I thought this is the perfect opportunity. Very few social obligations. I reduced my teaching schedule by more than half in April. And it took me a long time to come down from that. So anyway, it's been a really good summer, but now it's fall, and fall and winter are my favorite seasons. So I'm so excited to be here now. As I'm making this video, it's Saturday night, the 20th. So we're a day and a half from the equinox, which is my time. It's about 11:19, I think, on Monday. Super looking forward to it. Tomorrow's the new moon. There's just all this like good, juicy stuff happening right now. And on top of that, I've kept reading. I had a little trouble coming up with books that I loved as much as I loved the books I read in July and August. And I did love the books I read in July and August. But I read two really good books. Well, two books that have finished since I last talked to you. One is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. I don't want to block her name. By Hannah Kent. And Burial Rites is set in northern Iceland, 1829. A woman condemned to death for murdering her lover, a family forced to take her in, a priest tasked with absolving her. But all is not as it seems, and time is running out. Winter is coming, and with it the execution date. Only she can know the truth. This is Agnes's story. So, I mean, honestly, it could, and it was at times pretty bleak. It could be a pretty bleak book. But the perspectives that it's told from really keep it interesting. And I was very moved by this book. And it was recommended by Angela at Angela's Bookcase, another booktuber. So hopefully I'll remember to have a link to Angela's channel in the description for this video. But this book, I don't even, I one of the things I did want to do this year that I haven't, and I kind of wish I had in hindsight, is keep better track of my books and how long it's taking me to read them. Not in any kind of like, oh, I've got to read fast and got to read a lot. Just like I'm just kind of genuinely curious how long it's taking me. I would say this one took me a month. I don't think it took longer than that. Anyway, it doesn't super matter. The perspectives, as I was saying, it's told from the perspectives of the family, primarily the mother and the two daughters who are like late teen age. And boy, does life in 1829 Iceland on a farm as winter's approaching sound brutal. And I will say there was a point about a little more than halfway through this book when I started to just get a little bogged down by it. Like there wasn't a lot of hope, and there's literally not a lot of light. It's cold, and the family that she is living with, that they take her out of jail, which thank God, because that was horrible. The description, which I'm sure was very accurate, because this is based on a true story, fictionalized, but based on a true story. And they move her from the prison to this family's home. So the family is one perspective of the story, and then of course Agnes's story herself, and then the priest who is, supposedly gonna help her realize salvation before she dies. So those three perspectives keep it interesting, and it makes the story richer and fuller, more fleshed out. And yeah, I was really affected. It really did. And when I really did affect me, and when I finished it, which was like about 4 or 5 days ago, I really had to sit with it and really think, like, did I enjoy that? Because it did get pretty dark and heavy. Um, but it was a really good read. So if you have a chance to pick it up and it sounds interesting, I would encourage you to do so. I also finished Stolen Beauty, which I think I talked quite a bit about in my last video. As the new century begins, Adele Bloch-Bauer, young, brilliant, and Jewish, is hungry for freedoms unknown to other Viennese women. Then she meets renegade genius Gustav Klimt. Even in an age when sex and art are beginning to break through the facade of conventional society, anti Semitism simmers in the shadows of Adele's early, oops, coffee house afternoons and cultural salons. Nearly 40 years later, Adele's niece, Maria Altman, is a newlywed when Austria is invaded, and overnight, her beloved Vienna becomes a war zone. When her husband is arrested and her parents are forced out of their stately home, Maria must summon the courage and resilience that is her aunt's legacy if she is to survive and keep her loved ones and their history alive. This is the second book that I've read by Laurie, Lico, Albanese. The first one was that book that I loved at the beginning, earlier in the year, Hester. If you've been here before and you saw those videos, you know how much I like those videos. I really, really loved, not videos, how much I like that book. I loved that book, Hester. And I really like this one too, but I did like Hester more. But they're both stories that follow like the story of a niece and an aunt, which I think is pretty unique. I haven't read a lot of books like that. I realize also that I like books that have dual timelines. I think it keeps it interesting for me. And I was very invested in the characters, and I really, really liked the Adele Bloch-Bauer. Her story I really liked because it was super focused on art. Like, she was so hungry for art, because she came up when she did. Girls weren't allowed to be educated, and she had a brother who did help her get educated and gave her books to read and things, and let her look at his anatomy. Maybe he didn't let her look at his anatomy books, but she snuck a look. So he very much encouraged it. And and then her and then she did get to sort of realize that when she got older and got married, and her husband was wealthy and he supported her interest in art. And I loved the look at Gustav Klimt because I didn't have any real concept of him whatsoever other than a few of his famous pieces of art. And I find myself really interested in the art world, even though I am not an artist. And I don't know a lot, but I've always been interested since I was pretty young. I think I was in about junior high when I started becoming interested in artists. I've mentioned before that in junior highs when I started subscribing to Interview magazine, and I was right as Jean-Michel Basquiat and oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Jean-Michel Basquiat and I'll think of it are coming up. I can't believe I can't think of it. Oh, you all know who it is too. I have a book right over there, and the name of Keith Haring. Thank you, thank you. Kevin was what kept going through my head. Knew it was a K. Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat were really coming up at the time that I subscribed um, to Interview, and so I got this early education on street art, and I'm still interested. I'm still so interested in street art. I love stuff about street art. And this obviously Gustav Klimt, that's a whole nother world, but is a world that I find myself, my books keep dipping in that direction. So thank you to the suggestions being made to me on Thrift Books. But some of you will remember that in July and August, I read a book about Frida Kahlo in the late 30s when she went to Paris for her own exhibition. And so more and more, I'm getting fed some of that through the books I'm reading, and it's making me want to read more. So I did really enjoy this, and I recommend it. So those are the books that I finished. The books I'm reading now, and oh, it's been hard. it's been hard to come up with books that I loved as much as Enchanted April, and I read that book, the Heart, which was the one about Frida Kahlo, and then I read another book called The Muse, which was about I don't think that was about a real artist, although it might have been. I don't remember. I have to go back and look at the last pages of the book to see. But that was about late 30s Spain, and an artist, and a dual timeline thing too. So anyway, because I love those books so much, I felt like, oh, I want to stay with that, loving my books, and I'm having a little trouble finding books that I love that much. But I am still reading this book. I mentioned it in the last couple of videos. I think I forgot to bring it last time I was talking to you guys. The Beautiful Fall. I can't read backwards. Fashion, Genius, and Glorious Excess in 1970s Paris by Alicia Drake. And this is a biographical story about the rise of Yves Saint Laurent and Karl Lagerfeld, who also, I mean, obviously were artists with their designing work. But they also are very interested in artists, and they talk about how they decorated their apartments, and the themes, and the people, that the interior decorators, and the pieces they have. And so this whole art world thing is really becoming kind of a big interest of mine. It's always been an interest, but it's resurging. That's the word I'm looking for. And that is sort of what I talked about in one of my last videos, about how happy I am to be a reader again, and how grateful I am for the inspiration from fellow YouTube people who encouraged, not me specifically, but just with their videos, encouraged me to get back into reading and be a reader and live in that world again. It's made me feel so much more interesting, and it's popped all these windows open for me that either I have never really opened before, or that have been closed for a long time. When I first became a yoga teacher back in 2012, no, 2013, I was so ravenous for stuff about yoga, and I read so many books and took so many courses that took 6 months to get through, and books, and um, it's all I wanted to read about. And so I guess it was during that period that I kind of fell off of reading novels. And honestly, once I got out of college, it was hard for me to read. I read so much in college. And so anyway, let's get on with things here in this video. This book is a treasure, and it's my morning read, which I always read my morning book slowly. My brain's just waking up in the morning, and I start thinking about what I'm going to have to do in the day. And so I stop a lot to take notes, or if I start thinking about what I want to teach in class. But anyway, this is a lovely read, and it's got a lot of recommendations from people like Michael Kors. And so if you're into the fashion world, you'll like this book. It's really interesting. It's fun to see, what kind of people they were. And I have a lot of admiration for designers. So anyway, I'm going to keep going on that. Probably going to take me, I don't know, maybe through the end of the year to finish the last 60% of the book. But I will get there because I really love it. So I've been reading that one for a bit now, at least a month, maybe longer. And the books that I'm reading in the evening, I just started this one, Flora and Ulysses by Kate DiCamillo. I read a book by Kate earlier this year called The Tale of Despereaux, which was about a little mouse who was tasked with saving a princess. And that's Kate's books are always about, I think, always about animals. I'm kind of like thinking maybe I shouldn't say always. But anyway, she writes about animals, and they're always main characters. I'm looking forward to reading a number of her books. They all look good. They all have cute illustrations, this one included. I'm about 10 pages into this one, and this one is part text and part graphic novel. So it's funny because when I open the pages, I get taken in by the art, but it's got some really, the artist is really talented. I'm trying to see. Illustrated by K.G. Campbell. So don't lose your place. Giving credit to them. The art is really cute. It's really sweet. And I'm only just, 10 pages in something. This little squirrel, Ulysses, gets sucked up into a vacuum, and Flora comes to his rescue. And a fabulous relationship and story is going to ensue, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So that's one of my evening reads. And then my other evening read, do I not have it here? I guess I don't. I know, I think that's what it is. I have like 4 other books by my bed, but they're like all 10 pages in, and I just couldn't really get into it. So I finally just decided to dedicate to Flora and Ulysses last night. And I'm just going to get through that. Not get through, that makes it sound like I'm not enjoying it. I am going to read Flora and Ulysses, and then I think that'll keep my momentum going, and then I'll find another book to read. I have a lot of books. There's no shortage. It's just about scratching the itch. I am very much a mood reader, and since I know now that's a thing, and some of you are mood readers too, I feel a little bit more justified in sticking with that. Speaking of mood reading, I found this darling book, but I can't read it because it's a Christmas book, but I wanted to show it to you. It's called Holly and Ivy, or the story of Holly and Ivy. So, being a Holly myself, I had to get it. It's by Rumer Godden. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her last name right, but if I understand correctly, she's a very well respected author, or was, and she writes very charming stories with really nice messages. So this is about Holly is a doll and Ivy is this little girl, and somehow something beautiful is going to happen at Christmas time. And I've read like the first page just to kind of see and look at inside the library card. Oh, that just makes my nostalgia meter ring. And this book was published in 1958. And I'm a big nostalgia person. Nostalgia on the verge of being constantly melancholic. So I can't wait to read this, but I am one of those people that keeps Christmas at Christmas time. I cannot read that until after Thanksgiving. And then the last 2 books that I'll tell you about, and I don't know when I'm going to get to these, although I have started this one. Ronia, the Robber's Daughter. Cute book, published in 1983 by Penguin, one of the Penguin, um, published by, there's a couple of things. What is it? Viking Penguin. And then maybe this one's actually from 85 by Puffin Books. So, anyway, let's read this really quick. I don't want this video to be too long. On the night Ronia was born, a thunderstorm raged over the mountain, but in Matt's castle and among his band of robbers there was only joy, for Matt now had a spirited little black-haired daughter. Soon Ronia learns to dance and yell with the robbers, but it is alone in the forest that she feels truly at home. Then one day Ronia meets Burke, the son of Matt's arch enemy. Soon after, Ronia and Burke become friends with the worst quarrel. Soon after Ronia and Burke become friends, the worst quarrel ever between the rival bands erupts, and Ronia and Burke are right in the middle. I just thought it sounded like a really cute children's story, and I really want to give credit to the Paul Mars and his channel for giving me permission, inspiring me to get back into reading children's books. I think there's a lot of really beautiful gems that I didn't get the first time around. So anyway, this is cute. I love the cover. I think the illustration is darling. That's the only one. And it's a nice floppy book, as is this one, On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I'm from Northern California originally, and so I feel a little bit of a tie to things, things that, and I know there was a lot of that Beat Generation stuff in San Francisco and City Light books and all that good stuff. So it's a book that I've kind of always known about. I've never been super compelled to read it, but I've always been marginally interested in the Beat Generation. So this will open that up for me, and we'll see if I like it. And I got this because of another favorite booktube, Aquarius Librarian. I really enjoy his channel, and he read it and liked it, and I like the way he talks about books, and so he got me interested enough. And we have the shared interest of liking Patti Smith, at least her books anyway. So he spoke so highly of this book and really enjoyed it and said it was one of his favorite reads of the year. So I decided I would get it too. All right, that's about it. I told myself I was going to start keeping these videos a little shorter again, and just kind of make it a manageable length. So I'll let this one wrap up. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. First time or returning. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're reading or what you think about the books I've read and will read. And I hope you come back for the next one. I'll see you until next time, everybody. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye for now.